Hey guys, Ryan Earnhardt here from CreativeSoundLab.tv. Well, I wanted to give you a quick news update video. I got an amazing episode coming out tomorrow. One of the more exciting episodes I've done in years. It's a really cool topic, but it involves reamping. So before I put that video out, I wanted to address some of the other reactions I got from the AmpSim video that I did about using AmpSim for the first time in 9 years. Let's get started. I really just wanted to start to open up the channel to some other topics. Coming from the perspective that you all know pretty well, it's kind of old school, okay? I like reamping. I like reverb chambers. You can set up a reverb chamber in your living room or your garage, and you could probably get some pretty cool and unique sounding reverbs, for example. They sound great compared to plugins. They're not as predictable, not as mathematic, perhaps. So I think there's something special to that. And if I can go into topics, are pretty modern techniques that, I usually wouldn't do, but maybe I can come in with the perspective of like, well, if I'm using AmpSims, here's what I would do. It's kind of a convenience issue. If you're recording a tape, you'd have a limited amount of tracks. Going to a DAW, you have unlimited amount of tracks. You just keep recording. So there's something that happens to the creative process when you have something that's just unlimited. Going back to guitar tones, if you had unlimited guitar tones, you could just sit there for hours and never get anything done. But in the moment, you might have one amp. If you're recording with real amps, you'd have one amp and you have to make it work. Maybe the line is different. Maybe you have to switch pickups. Maybe you try different pedal combinations, but you make it work. And one thing inspires another. And then that guitar tone is built around that. Really, it is a foundation. Everything builds around it. If you have no anchor and no decisions, then you're really not creating anything in the moment. You're just kind of setting it aside for later, and it just turns into months and months of mixing. All that time of mixing is not inspired in the moment because you've gone cold for that inspiration. The inspiration that was there when you made and played that music is long gone, and you're deciding on the tones weeks later. So if I were to use AmpSims, it'd be like, well, let's decide on a tone now, and let's bounce it to a new track so we know we have it and we can keep it. If it turns out it's terrible or we weren't thinking properly in the moment, we can always go back and fix it, but it's important to have that inspiration locked in. We have to build in some limitations because that's when our creativity thrives. We have to get creative when we have limitations. Here's another scenario, is that we have no limitations for the drums, we have no limitations for guitars and for bass. So what we do is eventually our instruments start to fade away. In fact, the whole studio starts to kind of erode away. So if we could replace all of our drums with samples, then heck, why do we even have a real drum set anymore? We could have a guy just tapping on a table. So the coffee table all of a sudden becomes just as good as a real drum set. And we'll go ahead and replace everything, no problems at all, with samples. And then we can plug our guitars into DI boxes. We can plug the bass into a DI box. The only microphone that's a part of the final mix is the vocal microphone. So then what have we got, Sure. We could do this with Ableton Live and program a ton of electronic music, and tons of great songs are made exactly that way. Pretty much just a vocal mic on a bunch of programmed stuff. But we just have to preserve what's special about music. And I think what's special about music is people tactile interaction with instruments and interacting with one another and playing with one another. I think reamping is extremely important because it keeps everything tactile, right? I have a video coming out tomorrow that is one of the best I've ever done, and I did it with my friend Brian McTeer, and it's about tactile manipulation of guitar effects on a vocal track, and it's inspired in the moment with the band there in the room, and it's a part of the music, it's a part of the sound. It's not something that was done later it's something that while everybody's still excited about that song right then and there, they're still creating it, and they're still sealing in all that creativity and capturing it right then and there. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. I'll see you.